Hello and welcome to Another Home Sold, a show about Wellesley real estate, where you can hear from the experts on the things you need to know about buying a new home, maintaining your property, or when you're preparing to sell. I'm your host and realtor, Steven.Verdelli with Coldwell-Banker, Wellesley's #1 real estate company for 24 years in a row. Today we have Officer Poirier and Officer Fritts. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And before we start, I just want to say a big shout out to the Wellesley DPW. You guys did a great job with snow removal, as did the Wellesley Police with keeping everybody safe.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
So today we're here to talk about home safety and security with two of Wellesley's finest. Home safety and security is obviously a big issue, not only when you're living in the home or when you're away from home on vacation or when your house is up for sale and sitting vacant. Again, thank you Officer Fritts and Officer Poirier for coming on today. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, when did you two know that you wanted to become police officers?
Well, I didn't realize I wanted to be a police officer until I went to Framingham State University, or college at the time. I studied psychology. I took a lot of psychology classes, and the more classes I took, the more criminal justice that way I went. And I was a dispatcher in 2007 for the Wellesley Police, and then I took the test to be a police officer, and here I am.
Wonderful.
My father was actually a police officer here in the town, and he ended up as the chief for several years. And so I'd been around policing my whole life. I knew kind of what the lifestyle was, and it appealed to me a little more than sitting behind a desk every day and doing a 9-to-5 type job. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's every day at work's a different experience and keeps it interesting.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Well, great. Well, again, thank you for coming on today. So let's talk a little bit about Wellesley. Wellesley is not a particularly high area for crime, but break-ins, home invasions do occur. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Wellesley has a reputation of being a very safe town, and we actually take pride in that. However, there are things that do happen. You read the police log every week in the Townsman, and there are other things that happen that don't always appear in the police log. We have lots of motor vehicle stops in town. We have people that operate without licenses or they operate without registrations. We have domestic calls that, family disputes. And then there are things such as home break-ins or motor vehicle break-ins. And unfortunately, a lot of times it depends on the economy, but that is sometimes a determining factor in the increased levels in home break-ins or motor vehicle break-ins.
So let's touch base a little bit about home break-ins, particularly since this is a show about real estate. Home break-ins as well as potential break-ins and break-ins in homes that are for sale that may be vacant.
Well, what we have some stats from the 2014-2015. 2014, back with home break-ins, we've had 33 attempts and 33 actual break-ins, and we also there's also a lot of motor vehicle break-ins.
Mm-hmm.
We have 23 attempts and 23 actual breaks of motor vehicles. And this year, so far in 2015, we've had 6 attempted motor vehicle breaks and actual breaks altogether, and as well as 3 home B&Es.
So an attempted break-in is somebody who was not successful with actually entering the property.
Correct.
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 Now, how is this usually stopped?
If they cannot actually get into the home, what burglars do not want to do, they do not want to make a lot of noise. So the neighbors and such obviously won't call the police, and they do not necessarily want to run into someone if someone is actually home.
Sure, I'd imagine that's probably not a good thing.
Yes.
So you can always tell if there's been an attempted break-in, an actual physical break-in.
Yes.
So what is the best ways to prevent some of these things? And I know you guys brought some brochures today on a program that Wellesley Police does offer.
Yes. Well, the number one thing we like to tell people is if your home if you have a home alarm. Again, that's whether or not if it's in your budget, we should say. Once the home alarm goes off, it notifies the alarm company, and then from there they ultimately notify the police department. A lot of things we like to tell get to know your neighbors. Always have an eye out if someone or some people are around the neighborhood that seem suspicious or in any way. Always call the police if something doesn't seem right.
Now, so a home alarm or just being vigilant about your neighborhood, And I think that in times of where we are today, I think people are a little bit hesitant about calling the police to say, oh, there's a car here in the neighborhood that doesn't really look like it should belong in this neighborhood. But that's something that you're encouraging people
Absolutely.
to do.
If something doesn't seem right, it probably isn't, and that's what we're here for. If you're not sure of something being in a neighborhood, your street, please do call us, and we'll surely, that's what we're here for. We'll figure, we'll ask why they're here and what they're doing.
Right, right. So a home alarm or 2 German Shepherds always works as well, I think.
Yes, that works.
Seems to work at my house. So let's talk a little bit about the actual break-ins. When people are breaking into a home, what are they taking?
A lot of it is jewelry. They want a quick in and a quick out, gold, silverware, things of small things in nature.
So just to reiterate, you're saying home alarms, be vigilant about what's in your neighborhood, who's in your neighborhood. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't right. And to always call Wellesley Police.
Yes.
Just to sort of have it checked out.
Yes.
Great, great. So what are some other ways that people can prevent being a victim of a crime like this?
Well, if you go away, on vacation or whatnot, it's good to stop your mail, so your mail's not piling up, packages, things like that. Give someone that you trust a key, an emergency key. If someone does need to get into your house, you have someone with that key that can get into your house. Lights on timers are good as well, just so it looks as though someone is in the house if no one is at home.
Okay, that's a good idea. So timing lights, picking up your mail, the standard things that seem like they would be pretty common, but people seem to forget about doing that. Now, you guys have a program at Wellesley Police, which I was unaware of, which I'm glad that we can discuss today. You want to talk a little bit about that program?
Sure. It's a residential as well as a business security survey. Officer Fritts and I, we have a extension at the police department where you can call, leave us a message, and we'll set up an appointment. We'll come to your residence in your home and take a look around, and give you some tips that can prevent any kind of break into your home or your business.
And this is free of charge?
Free of charge.
So this program is offered by the Wellesley Police. It's a residential security survey, and the officers will come to your home or your business, and they will do a complete survey of your area.
Yes.
That includes condominiums as well, I'm sure.
Yes.
And you will give tips on what people need to do to prevent from being a victim of a crime, which is great. And they can reach you through a number which we'll have on the end of the show for everybody. Would they call Wellesley Police 235-1212?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they would ask for you guys.
Yes, that or we have a special extension that they can get us.
Okay, great. Now we've talked about home break-ins, car break-ins when nobody's home. What about an actual break-in when the family's still there? We know about that case in Connecticut, which was horrible, with the woman and her 2 children there, which seems to be an unspeakable crime. How can somebody prevent this, these intruders, home invasions?
Well, it's another one of those situations where, based on our survey, and a lot of it is common sense, lock your doors. Lock your car doors, lock your house doors, lights on timers, motion lights around the outside of the house. Most people that break into homes don't want to do it when there's somebody there, because not only is it going to cause problems for the person breaking into the house, but it's also a much greater crime in terms of the penalties in the state of Massachusetts. If someone does break into your house, obviously you want to call 911 as soon as possible. That way we can get people rolling in your direction. A lot of people don't realize that even if you call 911 and hang up, the call still goes through, and we're still going to send a response, which is why our dispatchers usually try to call the house back. But if there's someone in your house and you don't feel comfortable talking on the phone, you can dial 911 and just leave the line open, and you're still going to get a response. There's going to be 2 police officers, a fire engine, and an ambulance coming to the house if we don't hear from anyone. If someone does come in your house, you want to try to get to a place where you don't think they're going to find you and it's going to be safe for you. If there's a safe way to get out of the house without being noticed, then you want to do that. Bring your phone with you. Call, your cell phone or your landline. Call 911, and we can get there as soon as we can.
So you touched base about calling 911. Now, calling 911 from your cell phone and calling 911 from your landline are 2 different things, correct?
Yes, that's
Tell
correct.
me a little bit about that.
calling 911 from your cell phone automatically goes to the state police. And it's then their job to direct the call to wherever it needs to go. If there's no answer on that, there is a GPS aspect of the phone that'll give them latitude and longitude points that they can then direct it to the correct town where the call is coming from. With a landline, that is connected directly through Verizon or whoever the carrier is to the Wellesley Police Department. If you dial 911, it rings directly into the dispatch center at the Wellesley Police Department. So that actually makes the process faster. And not only does it come to the Wellesley Police Department, it comes up with the address of where the call is coming from. Okay. So even if there's no answer on the line, we know that 50 Rice Street is showing up on our 911 system, and we can send the correct response there.
Okay, so even a landline is relatively one of the cheapest ways of having an alarm system in a way.
Correct. For if you're home, absolutely.
If you're
yes.
home, yeah. Okay, good to know, good to know. So 911 on your landline goes right to the police, 911 on your cell phone goes to the Massachusetts State Police.
Where it's then redirected to the Wellesley Police, yes.
Okay. So if you're in Vermont skiing and you call 911 from a Massachusetts cell phone, it's going to go to Massachusetts Police or the Vermont Police?
I'm not sure how the Vermont policy works, but it will probably go to the Vermont State Police based on the GPS in the phone. And then they direct it the same way the Massachusetts.
That makes sense. So we talked a little bit about people leaving their homes vacant, the mistakes that they make, and then having an alarm system. Now, I know some communities and some states require people to have their home alarms tied into or registered with the local police departments. Wellesley does not require that, correct?
That's correct. Wellesley does not require that you register your alarm with the police department.
Okay.
When we receive a call from an alarm company, we send a standard response based on that, which would be two officers respond to the scene. Sometimes we'll get a call back from the alarm company saying that they got the correct passcode from the resident. If that's the case, that alarm has been canceled by the alarm company, but we still send one officer just to verify that there isn't a problem at the house. But there is no, you don't have to register your alarm with us, but there is a bylaw in town regarding false alarms, so that in a calendar year you're allowed 2 false alarm calls that don't have a charge associated with them. On the 3rd alarm call, there's a $25 fee for a false alarm. The 4th and 5th alarm would be $50 per call, and then every one after that is $100. So, we're certainly not a way to make money. We're not looking to make money on it, but it's intended to help cut down on the number of false alarms that come in.
Absolutely. I mean, there's time involved in taking you guys away from doing other things.
Definitely.
So the first 2 are alleged or mistakes that are okay. After that, the town will start charging you for setting off your home alarm.
Correct, yes.
Okay, good to know. Let's talk a little bit about cybercrime in the home, which is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Cybercrime it's one of those crimes that is continually evolving. There's identity fraud as well as credit card fraud and things like that are being done electronically. What we advise people is to, never give out your personal information to anyone regarding your social security number, date of birth, things like that. If you're going to purchase things online with a credit card, make sure you do it through a secure site. And usually they'll have whatever it is that they're using to process their payments that you can check and make sure it is secure. If in terms of deliveries, if you're going to have something delivered, try to make sure that it's at a time where you'll be home, that the package isn't just going to be left on the front step or anything like that for the day. In terms of identity fraud, sometimes there's not a lot you can do about it. Sometimes it just happens. They get your information. We recommend contacting the credit reporting bureaus and registering with them. You're entitled to 1 free credit report a year from each of the 3 credit reporting bureaus. We recommend that if you're going to be on top of it, then you get 1 every 4 months from each of the bureaus, or 1 from each every 4 months. But it's similar, and then with cybercrime, it's also similar with phone scams as well. We've had several residents in town that get phone calls requesting personal information. They may be pretending to be a family member or pretending to be a credit card company or a bank, and they're just trying to verify that this is your account number and this is your date of birth. And people have given the information out over the phone, and then it's led to their security being breached. You never want to give them out unless you're initiating the call. If you're calling the credit card company, then you can be relatively confident that it's a legitimate call. If you're getting calls from Social Security and they're asking for your Social Security number, that's probably not a legitimate call. You be suspicious of any calls coming in where they're asking for personal information.
So again, if it sounds fishy, it probably is fishy. No bank, credit card company, Social Security Administration, hospital is going to call you requesting information.
Correct.
They're probably going to call you and tell you to call them, and they're going to have a series of verifications as well.
Absolutely, yes.
And then possibly just home shredding of all of your documents is also very important to do.
Definitely a good idea, or whether it be with a shredder or just tearing things up and keeping them separate so that it's not all together. It's definitely a good idea to keep your personal paperwork either at the house or shredded.
Okay, great. So shredders, keeping personal information to yourself, not providing any information to people that are calling in to prevent yourself being a victim of cybercrime. Another thing that is always a concern is, as realtors, having an open house. When you have an open house, it's on the internet, open for anyone to see. There's pictures of the house and times where people can actually come and look at the house and kind of scout around. As agents, it's always a concern of ours. If I know a house is going to draw a particularly large crowd of potential buyers, and I see the cars pulling up before the open house starts, I usually limit it. I say to people, "Oh, we're only allowing in 4 at a time." When you start to limit it, it sort of intimidates people a little bit not to stick around for too long. If they truly are interested in the house, they'll come back, or they will provide information about who they are and their contact information. Can you tell me a little bit about how people can protect themselves in these situations where they have to have an open house, they know there's going to be strangers in the house?
Absolutely. It's a situation where we have had some calls, actually, where people have had medication stolen from their house. They've had documents stolen, whether it be cash that's just been laying around in the bedroom. We advise anyone to either put it away or take it with them. If you put your medicine into the medicine cabinet and you have an open house, people are going to go in the bathroom and open the medicine cabinet. So there's a chance it could get taken. And on top of that, it's identifying. Like, it's got your name, it's got your address on it. So we'd say anything that could be secured should be secured, whether it's taking it with you or locking it in a safe, keeping the safe hidden away. It's just about, they're there for the house. They're not there to know who you are or anything like that. And that's a good deterrent for people that are trying to get into this open house and find out who you are and get some information that they shouldn't be getting.
Wonderful. So actually, we could have you guys come out and do a residential security survey on house prior to an open house, kind of get an idea, as well as maybe give some pointers on what the people need to do to keep themselves private and safe.
That's definitely true. One of the things of the residential security survey is we tell everybody what we tell you is an ideal or a goal, but it's got to fit into your budget. We're not here to break the bank or do anything like that. It's, there's a balance between aesthetics and security. If you like having the big bay window in front of your house that's got the trees blocking it and stuff like that, that's a decision you make. We're going to advise that you have your trees cut down below that window level. But everybody makes a choice. And our determinations or our recommendations are certainly not etched in stone. They're just based on our experience and based on the training courses we've gone to. This is what we think would help make your house more secure.
Wonderful. So again, Wellesley Police can do a residential survey, and that's free of charge on their home or business. Again, thank you very much, Officer Fritts and Officer Poirier, for coming on today. I hope you enjoyed watching today's episode of Another Home Sold. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you're thinking about listing your home or just want an up-to-date market analysis, please contact me at 617-922-4714. I'm Steven.Verdelli with Coldwell-Banker Residential Brokerage in Wellesley. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. And remember, home is the nicest word there is.